They told you to be good, be polite, be realistic, but they never told you to be free. From the first breath, you were nudged gently into the current of others. Praise for fitting in, rewards for staying quiet, applause for coloring within lines you didn't draw. Slowly, you learned how to disappear, how to become acceptable. But what if you weren't meant to be accepted? What if you were meant to awaken? Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe, and that struggle is still with you. You feel it every time your soul whispers something wild and the world tells you to shush. Every time your heart leans left and the crowd marches right. Every time your intuition knows, but the noise drowns it." That noise? It's the herd, the system, the old gravity that pulls you into a shape that isn't yours. And if you stay there too long, you forget that you were never meant to conform. You were meant to create, not just art, not just ideas, but life, your life. Nietzsche didn't want obedience. He wanted becoming. He wanted you to stop asking for permission and begin listening to the only voice that ever truly mattered, the one within. But that voice is quiet. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And the herd hates whispers, so it distracts you with trends, with applause, with fear disguised as love. With paths so well trodden, they've lost all meaning. But meaning isn't found in maps, it's forged in fire. You weren't born to walk a path, you were born to make one. So pause, breathe, listen. Beneath the noise, behind the masks, before the expectations is you. Not the version that's been edited for others. Not the version that plays roles to keep peace. But the version who remembers, I am not here to blend, I am here to become. Stay with me. In the next part, we'll explore what it means to hear your soul in a world addicted to noise. If you've ever felt like you didn't belong, like your thoughts were too deep or your questions too loud, that wasn't a flaw. That was the first sign of awakening. Nietzsche warned us long ago, the world is not designed for the creator. It is designed for the follower, for the safe, for the silent. The more you come alive, the more alone you may feel, and yet, that loneliness is sacred. The herd gives you comfort, but it takes your truth. It offers company, but at the cost of your originality. And slowly, without noticing, you start trading pieces of your soul for moments of belonging. You nod when you disagree, you shrink when you want to speak, you laugh when something inside you wants to scream. This isn't peace, this is disappearance. Nietzsche believed that most people live their entire lives avoiding this truth, that to live authentically is to stand alone. At least for a while. The crowd will not celebrate you for becoming yourself. Not at first. They may misunderstand you, even fear you, because you remind them of what they've forgotten. You remind them of their own voice, and that's the beginning of real spiritual power. Not the power to control others, but the power to create yourself, to stand in silence and feel whole, to hear your own intuition and trust it, to say yes when it's hard and no when it's terrifying. You don't need to be loud to be free. You just need to be real. And realness is rare. When Nietzsche spoke of the will to power, he didn't mean dominance. He meant creation, forming meaning from the void, standing in a world with no instruction manual and still choosing to shape beauty, to create values, to live with depth and clarity. Not because someone told you to, but because something in you knows it must be done. So when you feel the pull to step away, to wander, to sit alone with your thoughts, that is not exile. That is return. You're not losing connection. You're finding the only connection that ever mattered, the one between you and your essence. Like the moon in a dark sky, you may feel distant from the crowd, but you are luminous. Stay with me. In part 3, we'll explore what it means to move beyond the world's expectations and begin shaping a life that speaks your truth. Everywhere you look, someone is telling you what to think, what to want, what to become. There are lists, rules, steps to happiness, blueprints to success. But none of them were written with your soul in mind. Because truth isn't handed to you, it's discovered in silence, in struggle, in solitude. Friedrich Nietzsche called this the journey of becoming. He believed that when the old gods fall, when the outer structures no longer speak for your heart, you're not left with despair. You're left with something far more powerful, the freedom to write your own scripture. And that, dear soul, is both a gift and a burden. Because meaning isn't something you find like a lost object, it's something you build, day by day, choice by choice. in what you say yes to, in what you say no to, in how you love, how you create, how you stand back up when life unmakes you. You were never meant to simply accept what the world hands you. That's the role of the crowd, the echo, the passive recipient. But you are the author. Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." So the question is, what is your why? Is it borrowed, or did you carve it with your own hands? In a world that begs you to imitate, the most radical act is to become original, not louder, not more liked, just more you. The truth is, many will not understand your path. They may call you strange, unrealistic, even selfish. But that's because most people have never had the courage to step off the trail. They live in repetition, and repetition feels safe, but it also dulls the soul. You were not born to repeat, you were born to reimagine. This doesn't mean abandoning everything. It means waking up to the places where your life has become scripted, numb, automatic, and choosing to bring consciousness back into them. That's the quiet revolution. So if you feel like you're walking alone, take heart. Solitude is not emptiness, it's space, sacred space. And in that space, something ancient begins to whisper, the soft electric hum of your own truth returning to you. Let that voice grow. In part 4, we'll arrive at the most dangerous, beautiful truth Nietzsche ever shared. The moment you stop following all gods and realize you were meant to become one. There is a moment, quiet and terrifying, when you realize the old voices no longer guide you. The rules don't fit. The maps feel foreign. The names you once answered to fade. This is what Nietzsche meant when he said God is dead. Not as mockery, but as mourning. A mourning of certainty, of borrowed truths, of meaning handed down from outside. And once those crumble, the world feels vast, cold, empty. But this emptiness is not a curse. It's a beginning. Nietzsche saw what few dared to say. Without someone else's God, someone else's script, someone else's voice, you are free. And with that freedom comes the most sacred task of all, to become your own light. No more looking upward. No more waiting for signs. No more waiting for permission. You become the sign. You become the meaning. You become the creator of your reality. This isn't ego, it's responsibility, because you can no longer blame the world. You can no longer say they made me, or this is just how life is. Once you awaken, you carry the burden of freedom, and yes, it is heavy, but it's also holy. You begin to see that life was never asking you to follow. It was inviting you to dance, to sculpt, to imagine, to love with presence and depth, to hurt with honesty, to build, not because you're told to, but because something divine inside you aches to express. This is the soul's quiet rebellion, not against people, but against sleep, against numbness, against forgetting. You were never meant to live by default. You were meant to awaken and choose, not once, but daily. And this choice, it will not always be met with applause. The herd may mock you, the world may ignore you, but the stars do not measure truth in numbers. They shine alone, with no need to be understood. So shine, even if no one claps, even if no one comes. Shine because it is your nature. You are not here to be worshipped. You are not here to be liked. You are here to become fully, wildly, softly, divinely you. Let that be your prayer. Let that be your revolution. Let that be your whisper back to the universe.